What's up, guys? Today I want to give you a fully detailed video on how to go from an AI automation freelancer that's trapped on Upwork competing for $500 projects to an agency that's charging $10,000 for the same work. In case it's your first time here, my name is Saad. Last month I made 165 grand building sales systems that connect companies with their ideal clients using AI and automation. So today I'll walk you through the whole thing from mindset, how to think, how to pick your niche, how to find leads, what to say in your emails, what to say on the call, how to price, and the full systematic way to get to your first $10,000 a month. And you will see real quick that the difference between a freelancer and someone who makes 10K a month isn't how smart they are, it's how they show up every day and how they get clients. So let's get into it. First thing is mindset shift, because mindset is important. Because think about it, mindset is basically where your mind is set. And then we're going to tackle system setup. So leads come in without you chasing them. And then we're going to tackle client scaling. So you can charge plus 10K and work with 3 clients, not 30. And just to give you guys some context, I only work with 6 clients every 6 months. If you want the detailed video of me going through my entire business model, make sure to check out the previous videos. I'm going to link it in the description. Okay. So before we talk about AI automation clients, we have to fix how you think. Okay. Because right now you're probably stuck like I was, thinking like the servant archetype. Okay. So what is the servant archetype, Saad? Well, it's someone that waits for someone to tell them what to do. So essentially, their whole language is, I'll build whatever you want, just hire me. But to grow, guys, you have to step into the architect archetype. Okay. So this is the person who sees the whole system and fixes big problems. Okay. Let me say that again. This is the person who sees the whole system and fixes big problems. So instead of waiting for orders, right, like a freelancer, because we're going to fix the identity of the glorified freelancer, we say, here's where your business is leaking money. Here's how I'm going to fix it. Okay. So this is why mindset is really, really important. And it does matter, because if you see yourself as just a worker, you'll stay small. But if you start thinking like a problem solver, well, people will pay you 10 times more. Okay. Now let's talk about the system setup so leads come in without chasing. Okay. If you guys don't know, back then I would refresh Upwork or Fiverr every 10 seconds. I was always anxious. I was always waiting, okay, for the next client. And that kind of stress really, really took a toll on my health. I remember I was like very, very skinny around that time. And if you really think about it, health is really important, because without health, you can't make tons of money and you can't basically build a successful business. So I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes that I used to make. And more precisely, I don't want you waking up every day and you're like saying, okay, let's see if anyone posted a job today. And then you're basically just scrolling Upwork or like Fiverr, and then you find one gig and then boom, someone just already bid like $200. Now it's a race to the bottom. Now, the problem with this is that it is not a system, okay? That's hope. And obviously, we all know that hope doesn't pay the bills, okay? Everybody knows this. You know this, I know this, the whole entire planet knows this. So what you need to understand is that a real business has a machine that runs every week or maybe daily. So all you have to do is basically plant the seeds, okay? And then the system waters them in the back end, and then you show up to harvest on your terms. Okay. Now let's talk about client scaling so you can charge plus 10K and work with 3 clients, not 30. So I only work with 6 clients every 6 months. That's literally it. They pay me well, the work is very deep, and I don't live in my inbox. And I also get to keep everything lean because I have a small team, like 11 people. So I can still do other things that I find enjoyable in life, okay, such as I like playing tennis, right? I like reading psychology book, Carl Jung books. I like beach walks with friends, spending time with family. It might be different for you. You have other things that you find interesting in life, okay? So the goal here is not to work with everyone. The goal is to work with the right ones at the right price with the right system in place, okay? So you don't really need 30 clients on a cheap $300 retainer. What you do need is 3 clients at 3K per month and the systems to keep them happy without burning out, without you burning out, because burning out is the worst thing that can happen to you. And you will notice that burning out only happens when you are losing. Because if I told you, okay, there's a client, let's say you are very tired, but if I came to you, I said, hey, there's a client that wants to pay you 5K for this system, for this sales system, for this AI automation workflow, whatever. You're going to be like, yeah, sure, even if you're tired, right? Because burning out only happens when you are losing. It never happens when you are winning, which is very, very interesting. Okay, so now that you have these three outlines, let's just go ahead and dive deeper, okay? So the first thing we want to talk about is identity transformations. Just like I gave you the two archetypes or the two examples, which is the servant and the architect. Well, the servant says, I can build you an NA10 workflow for $500. Now, the new identity, the architect says, well, your manual client intake is costing you $5,000 monthly in lost opportunities. Well, I can fix that. Okay, so now you are a problem solver, not just someone like a systems builder, right? Who just builds workflows. Another thing, the servant says, what do you want me to build? Okay, but what you should say, and the new identity should manifest into these words, which is, here's what's broken in your sales process and how to fix it. Okay, so notice the language shift. So I want you guys to stop saying I build automations, okay? And start saying I solve revenue problems. Stop asking what's your budget and start asking what's this problem costing you, okay? So you don't want to get paid for time, okay? Because that's how you stay poor forever, right? Like everybody knows this. It's kind of like those things that everybody knows, but at the same time, we're not conscious of it. And we still keep doing it and we wonder why we are poor. This is like the biggest paradox of human nature. We do know it, yet we do not know it, right? Human nature is very interesting, right? So I want you guys to get paid for outcomes because when you get paid on time, you get paid $20 an hour, maybe like $30 an hour, 40 hours a dollar. But if you get paid on outcomes, well, you're basically like solving a big problem. So you get paid like $10,000, right? Okay, so let's get practical right now because we are anti-guru. We don't like those gurus that just dance around the subject and just say things in a fancy way, basically word salad. I want to give you guys step by step on what to actually do. So pick your battlefield, which means don't try to help everyone because you must specialize. Okay, this is very important. And this is where most freelancers, because I'm talking with hundreds of freelancers every single day, they all try to help everyone. And that was me back then. So don't feel bad about it, right? We all start somewhere, right? Like think about it. Like a billionaire didn't wake up one day as a toddler and was a billionaire, right? Unless their family is already a billionaire. But since you are watching this, you have this sheer fire, this crazy amount of energy that's inside you that wants you to become, right? So what 99% of freelancers say, and what I used to say back then, is I help anyone with automation. But the problem with this is that, okay, well now cool, you're also competing with every guy chasing 5,000 an hour on Upwork. Why would they pick you instead of him, right? This is the same service, literally the same service. So they would rather go for the guy that is cheaper, right? But when you say, I help X industry automate client intake, or I help X industry get 3 to 5 intros per month, well, now you're no longer a choice. You are the obvious one. Okay, you are the one. Because guys, really, really think about this and give that some thought. When you help everyone, you help no one well. But when you help one type of businesses really well, they also pay you really well. Okay? So pick one industry based on your background and go all in. This is basically the practical stuff. Reason why you want to pick an industry based on your background is because you can speak their language. You understand their pain better than they do. And you don't sell automation, you sell results. And most importantly, specialists charge 10 times more and generalists just compete on price. So you don't want to be a generalist, you want to be a specialist. And a good example for this is it's kind of like going to a doctor. If right now your back hurts, would you rather to go to a general doctor who just kind of helps with everything, or a back pain specialist who only treats spines every day, all day? Okay, well, now you might be thinking, Saad, how do I pick an industry based on my background? Well, just think about it like this. Pick the one where you already get the people, or you've already served the most amount of clients. And here are some of the questions you can ask yourself. Have I ever worked in this industry? Do I have friends or family who do? Have I ever built something for these kinds of businesses? Can I easily imagine myself talking to them and knowing what they care about? Okay, you don't have to go crazy about it. Just 1 to 2 questions. If you can answer by yes, then you're good to go. Just pick it. Okay, so if you answer yes to any of those, that's your starting point. And by the way, This is really important. You don't need to know everything. You just need a head start because you want to avoid the analysis paralysis, okay? You don't want to overthink. And I get it. You will be overthinking. So don't overthink, all right? Now, the second question that might pop in your head is, Saad, I can't think of any industry that fits me. Mind sharing the best ones in your experience? Yeah, of course I will, dear viewer. So you don't need, like, this is really important. You don't need to meditate for 3 hours to pick your niche. But I'm going to give you 3 niches, and I'm pretty sure if you pick some of these niches, you'll make tons of money. So the first niche is longevity and health span. So essentially, these companies are trying to extend human life. If you go to YouTube right now, or like Reels, whatever, you will see like everyone is talking about slow aging, boosting health span, aka not just living longer, but better, okay? Optimizing their health markers, anti-aging drugs. We have this new thing called Ozempic that somehow just lowers the hunger signals to your brain so you don't feel hungry, which is insane. There's also next gen wellness platforms, so they have tons of money sitting around, so you can target them. Another thing is a recruitment, which is IT, deep tech, etc. So essentially, it's recruitment agencies. Everybody knows what a recruitment agency does. They are agencies that already have, for example, like engineers, back-end, front-end developers, AI, etc., ready to place in front of companies hiring. Like I said, their ideal client is a company hiring for those roles, since they make 20-30% of their of the candidate's initial salary. The third niche is healthcare early stage tech startups. Okay, basically startups in the healthcare space. Everything that they do is manual. They don't have like a predictable way to get clients, etc. So sales automation and pipeline systems is a necessity for them to actually scale. Okay, so let's talk now about a quick shift, which means ditch talking about tools, the process, and start talking about money. Now, what I used to say, and what you probably say now, is I build na10/make.com workflows and voice agents. What you should say instead is I help, for example, law firms or whatever industry get 5 new clients every X month without cold calling or referrals. Because most business owners don't really care about the tools. The process is confusing and clever, but clarity beats cleverness every single time. So what they care about is more money or saving time that equals money again. So the whole thing goes back to money every single time. So the formula, okay, is going to be, this is basically like you offer. I help type of business get specific results without the thing they hate doing. Okay, this is how we build like a good offer. For example, I help dentists get 20 new patients monthly without expensive advertising. I help accounting firms find 5 new clients quarterly without networking events. I help contractors book jobs 2 weeks in advance without chasing leads. Okay, these are just examples you can basically pick and then use this formula and essentially just build an offer. All right. Now, let's talk about how to find people who will pay you well, because we pick our customer. We're not just going to wait for people to pick us in Upwork or like Fiverr. So the tools you're going to need are going to be very, very straightforward. You're going to need, for example, a lead sourcing database, which is going to be Apollo, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Crunchbase, Angelus. Apollo, they essentially pull data from LinkedIn, and then Crunchbase is more of like early stage startups or like any type of recently funded company. Angelus is the same as Crunchbase, but Angelus is more of like niched. Okay. And by the way, there's dozens of lead sourcing database. I've shared like 20 already in this channel. So just pick one and go to town. And then you need an email sending tool, which is Instantly all the way. Don't go for Lemlist or like Smart Lead, all these new ones. Go for the OG Instantly, obviously. You need 15 to 20 email accounts to start your outreach, okay? Because we're going to talk about outreach after that. And then you need like a simple tracking system. I use ClickUp. I built my entire 165K business on ClickUp. But if you don't want to use ClickUp, you can use Airtable or like a simple Google Sheets, okay? Do things that don't scale. So who to look for? Well, it's businesses making at least $1 million per year, companies with 10 to 100 employees, and businesses that are growing, which means hiring new people, because if they are growing, they need more people in their team. And if they recently raised a bunch of money, for example, recently funded. So if they raise a bunch of money, probably they're going to hire more people. They're looking for ways to use that money, allocate that money, and like marketing efforts, which is going to be sales systems that you will sell to them, right? Now, how to find them? So use the tools above that I just talked about to search for company size, which is going to be 10 to 100. Industry, your chosen specialty or the chosen industry that you went for. We have the location, for example, your target area, but just a heads up, always go for the US, UK, Canada, Singapore. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Or maybe Dubai or like the Middle East, okay? These are the ones that have tons of money. Don't go for like other countries. You can also go for Europe, but USA is like, they just make tons of money. There's thousands of startups every single day. And then you want to filter by recent activity, which is going to be either hiring, expanding, or getting funded from investors. Now, you might be thinking, Saad, why? Well, $1 million in revenue means they can afford to pay you well, obviously. So there's money, okay? They can justify the fee. And then 10 to 100 employees means they're big enough to have real problems. So they are growing, and therefore growing companies will pay to solve problems faster. Okay, so now let's talk about what to say in your outreach. Just a heads up, you're probably gonna have to watch this video multiple times so that the information just elicits in your brain and gets ingrained in your brain. So at any point, feel free to just take like a 5-minute break, right? And then go back and continue watching this video. Okay, so what to say in your outreach, aka how to not sound like every other person doing outreach. Okay, now I've sent millions of outreach messages for my agency, for my clients, and I can tell you the 3 reasons why outreach messages fail. And this is also based on not only my testing, iterating, and getting results, but also the messages that I receive every single day from people trying to pitch me stuff. Okay, now the 3 reasons is bad targeting, sending to the wrong people. Okay, think about it. If you send to the wrong people, why would they care? The second thing is bad delivery. When your emails or outreach messages don't hit the inbox, well, if it's not in the inbox, well, they will never see it. Okay, and bad writing, which I think this is like the most important. Talking about yourself, not what they care about. So I don't want you to come from a place that comes from here, right? You do not want to talk about yourself, okay? You want to talk about what they care about, the exact pain that they are feeling right now, okay? Because most people treat outreach very, very wrong. So they do stuff like, let me blast the same boring message to 1,000 people. But a good cold outreach message feels like a one-on-one message. It's like you're talking to someone, I don't know, like a coffee shop, okay? Even if it's automated, right? It makes the other person feel like, damn, this was just written for me only, right? So how do you do this? Well, I'm going to give you a 5-part cold email formula, which is going to be super, super simple. The first thing is target by pain, not just persona. Don't just say CEOs or like CTOs at SaaS companies. Say CTOs dealing with specific painful problem. Because when you have the pain, well, you have better timing, so you hit them at the right time. And when you have also the pain, well, you have better relevance, so it's more relevant for them. They care about it because it's relevant for them, right? And then again, if you have the pain, well, obviously these 2 things, which is better time and better relevance, well, it's going to equal to better replies, okay? And you closing more deals and get into that 10K a month or 25K a month that you want, okay? Which is exactly what I do right now and what I've done to get to 165K a month. Now, the second thing is use smart personalization. How many times you've seen people try to generate personalization such as, I noticed you hair transplant, I noticed you in your last post, you talked about your dog. Guys, ditch that. Nobody cares, okay? Don't ever say that, okay? Instead, you want to say something that's meaningful, relevant, like I said, and ditch the service level personalization, okay? It's called inference, where you essentially just talk about something that is meaningful for them, okay? For example, notice company just hired 3 reps or 3 sales reps. We helped other company ramp theirs faster by automating X, Y, and Z. So you're making it feel custom, not copy and paste. The third thing is really important. Give them superpower, because great outreach show what's possible, not what you do. Let me say that again. Great outreach show what's possible, not what you do. So the bad outreach is we offer, for example, CRM integrations. Nobody cares, right? Like, why would you care with a CRM, like about a CRM integrations? But they would care if you want to say, we make sure no lead ever gets lost or ignored again. Because now you're showing them what they can get, not what you've built, okay? The fourth thing is handle objections proactively. Because when they receive your outreach message, they're thinking, this is expensive, we're busy, is this risky, who are you? So you want to say, for example, setup takes 3 days, no tech work on your side. So kill the no before they even say it, okay? And with experience, you'll be able to pretty much predict what they're gonna say, and then you just tackle that in your outreach message. And then the fifth thing, which is just keep the structure simple. You have a hook, show relevance with using your personalization. Why you, for example, what you do in one line, that's it. Very simple language tone that is very casual. And then you want to handle doubt, which is this won't waste your time. And then you want a call to action, okay, which is want me to send over a walkthrough, or is this something you'd be interested in, etc. So that's it. There's no 8-paragraph essays, okay? There's no talking like some corporate plans. Just a clean, sharp message, and always make sure it's 80 words max, okay? Now, let's talk about the call that gets you hired. Because when someone responds to your email, you might be wondering inside, what would I do, right? What do I do? How do I reply to them? Well, when someone responds to your email, here's what to do exactly. First, get them on a call, but I need to put like a giant label on this. I should probably make this bigger right now that I think about it. Never drop a link. This is a classic bottleneck, right? That every 7-figure agency owner, and even like people that are just getting started, is that when someone just shows some interest, they immediately just drop a link, right? But think about it. When you meet someone in the streets or like on a coffee shop, right? The first time you want to talk to them, you don't just drop them a link, right? Because it's not respectful, right? So I want you to ask yourself, if you can't book calls, are you sending them a calendar link too early? If the answer is yes, well, that's probably the issue. So when they reply with interest, respond with great to connect, name. I have 15 minutes available tomorrow at specific time or specific day at specific time. Or thanks for the reply. This sounds like something we could definitely help with. I have 15 minutes Thursday at 2 p.m. or Friday at 10 a.m. Which works better for a quick call? Okay, or which works better for you. Once they pick a time, well, now you can send, perfect, I got us down for a time. Here's a calendar link to make it official. Okay, or if you have a calendar, shoot it over. I'll book a Google Meet or like a Zoom, or you can use mine if it's more convenient. Now, the psychology here is very, very critical because giving them just a booking link puts the work on them. And think about it, people's attention span is absolutely cooked in 2026, and it's even gonna get even worse. So you want to give them 2 specific times to create a binary choice that's easier to make. It's either pasta or steak, right? So if you ask someone, it's kind of like talking to your girlfriend or your partner, whatever. You're like, do you want Chinese or do you want like pasta, whatever, Italian? You're gonna be like, I don't know, whatever. It's always this conversation that is a meme right now. So you want to give them like a binary choice, either X or Y, okay? And this snowballs into not just dating, also like business relationships, etc., and getting clients. Okay. Step 2 is the call structure, because you might be thinking, Saad, well, what do I say in the call, right? So the first 5 minutes, you want to get them talking. So you want to say, okay, thanks for taking the time. Tell me about their business, which is your business, and what got you interested in this conversation. What made you hop on a call today? What made you respond to my outreach message? Again, because it's going to help you find their pain. It's kind of like slowly transition it into pain discovery. So in the next 15 minutes, you want to ask these questions. Walk me through how you currently do the thing you can automate, which is your service. What's working well and what's frustrating about it? How much time does your team spend on this each week? What would it be worth to your business if this was automated? The next 15 minutes, you want to show you can solve it. So here's what I'm hearing. So this is crucial because you want to repeat their problems back. So here's what I'm hearing, okay? This is called mirroring. I read this in a book. It's called Never Split the Difference, one of the best sales books I've ever read from Chris Voss. Highly recommend you guys read this. So I just helped similar business with this exact issue. Here's what we built and the results they got. For your situation, here's what I recommend. So kind of like a doctor diagnosing, not just like a hardcore salesperson. The last 10 minutes is we want to talk money. So to build this, right, takes about time frame. Investment is, you never talk price or how much you will pay, always say or frame it as an investment, which breaks down as explanation. Based on what you told me, ROI should be the calculation, how much they will get, the payout that they will get. What questions do you have about moving forward? And boom. Do not want to make the silly mistake of saying, okay, I'll send you a proposal afterward. Well, when? Like next day, next week, next month? No, close them right in the call. Have your proposal already ready, your contract, payment processor already ready. Because when people are hot, this is where you want to strike. Okay? Never make the mistake of sending them a proposal later on, because we don't know what later on means, because one day we're all gonna die, right? So the TL there is get them talking first to understand the real problems, because this positions you as someone who solves problems, not sells services, and connects your price to their potential return. Okay, now let's talk about how to price your work. Now I want you guys to use the hybrid model, which is exactly what I do right now, which is the connector plus automation. So start with something simple, $2,000 or like 1,995. Make it a non-round number because it just shows that you didn't pull this number $2,000 out of your mind, and build them and run a connector system. So your goal here is just to get them 3 to 5 real conversations using cold email or outreach. No theory, no fluff, just intros. That's the foundation. It works because it proves value fast and builds trust with them. Once the client sees real results, well, the next step is pretty easy. Make it run faster and smoother with automation. This is where you shine. It is where your skills shine. So you want to have a campaign automation, which is going to be from 2 to 5K. So you make the boring stuff happen by itself, which means you can build them follow-up emails that send on their own, new leads that go straight into their system. And then you can also like build like a call automation that tag replies, for example, interested, not interested, follow up, etc. And then good leads move to the right salesperson, can automate their sales process. And then you can essentially just upsell for advanced AI systems from 5 to 8K. Now we go beast mode, for example. Now it makes sense to build them like CRM integrations or systemizing that, or send them small follow-ups to warm leads, or like a system that shares the right messaging at the right time. So notice the positioning here. So you want to say we start with systematic relationship building to generate predictable pipeline. This is exactly what I say in my proposals. Once that's proven working, we layer in automation to scale and optimize the entire process. Now, this approach makes sense because you're not selling automation upfront and not selling automation first. You're selling a proven relationship building, then enhancing it with automation as clients see value and want to scale it. So in plain English, here's your positioning. We get you leads first. Once that's working, we build a machine around it so you can barely have to lift a finger. Now, let's talk about getting to $10,000 per month. Now, the progression path, I laid down strategically for you. So month 1 to 3, get your first 3 clients, focus on delivering great results to them, document everything that you do, and ask for testimonials and referrals. So you want to get them to record like a quick vid of them saying, okay, we worked with viewer and we liked this, etc., etc. And then month 4 to 6, you want to hire help and systemize. This is where you want to like hire someone that handles the technical work. For example, building lists, handling replies, etc. All the admin, boring work that doesn't move the needle. You want to also create templates. And then month 7 to 12, you want to scale to 6 to 10 clients. So you want to focus on upsells and retentions and raise your prices with new clients. Now, the math for 10K monthly is essentially just 4 clients paying you $2,500 a month, which is 10K a month. And you have also 1 to 2 new projects monthly at like $15,000 each. So the total revenue is going to be around like $25,000, $40,000. And your profit after expenses probably going to be $15,000, $25,000. There's many ways to keep 90% margins just like I do, but that's a topic for another video. Okay, now we have recurring revenue, okay? And then we have fewer higher value clients, which means better service overall for them because you're delivering and you're spending time actually delivering, not chasing new clients. So now we have, again, more word of mouth, and more word of mouth means more case studies and a good reputation with these clients, which means more referrals, which means you can build a good personal brand after that so you can talk about what you did and build an audience and a personal brand. Okay, so that's like the entire path to this. Now, let's talk about the common mistakes that kill success. Yeah, this is the one. Mistake number 1 is leading with technology. Never lead with technology. Don't say I use NA10 and I basically build APIs, do all this stuff. Say I help you get more customers automatically. Mistake number 2 is trying to help everyone. Saying I help any business means you help no business well. Pick one industry and become the expert of that industry. Mistake number 3 is competing on price. If you are the cheapest, you'll attract the worst clients. We never attract what we want. We only attract what we are. Okay, this is a quote from a book. It's called "Feeling is the Secret" from Neville Goddard. Again, highly recommend you guys read this book. Really good. And then mistake 5 is working with broke clients, because if they can't afford to pay you well, they can't afford to value your work. So only work with businesses that make real money. Now, let's talk about your next steps. Well, this week, pick one type of businesses to focus on, write down 3 specific problems they have that you can solve, then 500 companies that fit your criteria, write your first email using the template above, start outreaching, track who responds, what they say and what you say, book 2 to 3 calls with interested prospects, practice your call structure with family and friends. Now, this month, you can get your first client, even if you charge less that you want. Totally normal, okay? We all start somewhere. And then you want to deliver amazing results and document everything because it's going to help you for the next 6 to 12 months, and then ask for testimonial and referral. Use that success to get client number 2. Big note here is starting small works, guys. Every expert started as a beginner. I started off as a beginner. People who made tons of money started as a beginner. So don't feel bad about it. You will get there, because there are months and years where nothing happens and only weeks and days where everything happens. Okay, so your first client proves you can do this. Your second client proves it wasn't luck, and your third client proves you have a real thriving business. So the difference between freelancers who stay stuck and those who build agencies is very simple, guys. They pick one thing, get really good at it, and charge what it's worth. So now we have a fully detailed video on what to actually do. So the only thing you have to do is simply just get out there, take action. I believe in you, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.